Hello and welcome to Barbarian Law, the YouTube channel. My name is Kareem Ashkur and I'm the managing partner of Kareem Ashkur. And for today's YouTube episode, we're going to be discussing Hafiz. Hafiz was a Persian mystic who was born after the Islamic Golden Age in Iran, which is typically known as being between the 7th and 12th or 13th centuries, where there was a lot of advancements in terms of algebra, mathematics, poetry. So it was a very fast advancing time. And so Hafiz memorized the Holy Quran in 14 different versions, 14 different recitations. That's what earned him the name Hafiz. So originally his name was Shamsuddin Muhammad. I just noticed today Shams is also the name of one of the most famous news reporter for basketball, Shams Charania. I'm almost 100% sure that Shams' parents have named him after, or at least have heard of Hafiz or Shamsuddin Muhammad. So that's a very relevant historical significance that Hafiz still has today. So actually in Iran now, the divan poems of Hafiz actually outsold the Quran now. So you can see how popular it was. So post Avicenna was the first person who made a canon of medicine, which was a book that had a list of all the maladies of the body and how to treat them. Everyone before that was doing piecemeal work on different specific body parts, and this canon of medicine by Avicenna was compiling the medical record and really was helpful for doctors of the time. So other famous people of his time period were Omar Khayyam and Rumi. Rumi was a very famous poet. So Hafiz came about 100 years after Rumi, so he was definitely familiar with the works of Rumi. But for some reason, Hafiz is not as popular. So I just wanted to draw attention to him and some of his works. So during his time where he was born in Shiraz, there was a change in leadership from the early years when he was friends with the ruler of Shiraz, and later on there was a new warlord who took over Shiraz, and then they were not so, his works were not as accepted, and then later on the new warlord, his son, usurped his power, and then that guy was much more liberal and in favor of Hafiz. So why this is important is that even back in the day, people were either more liberal, more conservative. You know, when I watch the news today, it's actually not news. It's actually the olds, right? Because all the things that are happening today are all things that have been happening in the past. So when Hafiz was known to have written over 5,000 poems, and only 500 to 700 have been known to survive. So that's why I think that the ones that have survived, they're actually still very controversial. And that's why I think I'm so attracted to it, because when someone says something controversial and it still gets published, it's kind of interesting to me. That's why I made Barbarian Law. So he had an accountant with Tamerlane. So he was a conqueror, and then Tamerlane's he called for Hafiz, and he's like, Hafiz says something wild to him. He's like, I would trade that mole for 2 of your cities. And Timur was so shook that instead of executing him, he gave him a reward. So sometimes being so absurd and out of pocket actually was in favor of Hafiz. So when he died, they were debating, should we give this guy a Muslim burial or not? There was debate because he was considered a heretic, because he was often referencing wine and taverns, but esoterically the reference to tavern was kind of like a spiritual thing about meeting in a place, and the wine was about falling in love with God. So I think there was like a very hidden meaning in all of his poems. So when he died, they chose a random poem from his divan, and it was a good poem, so they decided, yes, we should give him a Muslim burial. And of all the poems that I've read, I found a number of poems that I was very fascinated with, of which I wrote their names here. So I will read the names for you, and then I'll choose maybe 2 or 3 poems that are fun, that I enjoyed, that I can read for you. So these names would be The Foundation for Greatness, Get the Blame Straight, The Sad Game, Love Contest, 2 Bears, Until, Imagination Does Not Exist, We Might Have to Medicate You, Integrity, Act Great, Stop Being So Religious, Who Can Hear the Buddha Sing, An Astronomical Question, Troubled, No More Leaving, and This Teaching Business Isn't Easy. So those are some of the names of the poems that I found to be the best. So another story that I found very interesting was one of Hafiz's teachers, Muhammad Attar, kept saying, "Wow, Hafiz, you look like a pregnant woman." He said, "What did he say exactly? Let me write. I wrote it down." He said, "How did you become a pregnant woman?" So he kept saying to him, "How did you become a pregnant woman?" And Hafiz one day is like, "Dear Attar, you must be speaking the truth, but all of what you say is a mystery to me." One day he kept calling him a pregnant woman. Hafiz is like, "Stop! Why are you calling me that?" And then his teacher replied, "Someday, my sweet Hafiz, all the nonsense in your brain will one day dry up. I can see God made you with love, germinating in your belly, and such enlightening words will be the birth from you and cradle 100, 1,000 hearts. So that his words will give birth and cradle 1,000 hearts. That's why he's pregnant." And what kind of analogy is that? I like to think in terms of analogies. So let me read a couple more poems for you. This one is called She Responded. The birds' favorite songs you do not hear, for their most flamboyant music takes place when their wings are stretched above the trees and they are smoking the opium of pure freedom. It is healthy for the prisoner to have faith that one day he will again move about wherever he wants. Feel the wondrous grit of life, less structured. Find all wounds, debts stamped, cancelled, paid. I once asked a bird, "How is it that you fly in this gravity of darkness?" She responded, "Love lifts me." So Hafiz was known as a master of love. So being a master of love is something good to be known for. So now is another poem. So it's called Find a Better Job. Now that all your worry has proved such an unlucrative business, why not find a better job? If your job is worrying, then get a new job. That's very simple, direct. That's a good one. So I'll give you one more. The sun in drag. You are the sun in drag. You are God hiding from yourself. Remove all the mine that is the veil. Why ever worry about anything? Listen to what your friend Hafiz knows for certain. The appearance of this world is a magi's brilliant trick, though its affairs are nothing into nothing. You are a divine elephant with amnesia, trying to live in an anthole. Sweetheart, oh sweetheart, you are God in drag. So I hope you enjoyed that. Free Iran, and subscribe, like, and leave a comment.